Nah, I don't think so. Sorry, everybody, but Mr. Jello Smear here thought he was going to go out for a midnight snack, and Mr. Jello Smear, did I actually write that line? Anyway, it's funny how something so small can be such a big hassle, and I need to go read the lines again because I forgot my own script. Oh boy. We're off to a great start here. Roll the intro! So, getting right back on track and actually explaining what the heck that little skit at the beginning was. Down here. Hi. The Blob. The Blob is an interesting creature to me, in the fact that it is one of the few movie monsters not to be based on folklore or literature, unlike concepts such as Dracula, the Mummy, and even aliens. It is an entirely original monster concept that was born in the movies. There aren't a lot of monsters that can say that. The Blob is also a terrifying concept, to me at least, because of what it is. A gelatinous mass whose only instinct is to eat and grow. I think the 1980s remake trailer sums it up best.
If it had a mind, you could reason with it. If it had a face, you could look it in the eye. If it had a body, you could shoot it. Now, man is no longer the supreme being on this planet. The Blob. Terror has no shape.
Yeah, freaking scary. But one would have to imagine what an empowering and horrifying experience being a blob could be. Imagine a blob with a still human mind and intellect. Just what an experience that would be. And it is that experience that is explored in today's subject, the Ooze. The Ooze was published on the Sega Genesis, or the Mega Drive for those of you who don't live in America, in the September of 1995, and developed by a group called Sega Technical Institute. A group also behind well-received games such as Comix Zone, Kid Chameleon, Sonic Spinball, and they even worked on Die Hard Arcade with Sega's AM1 division. These guys were awesome. Unfortunately, this was one of their last console outings before disbanding. Yeah. One of the members of the team, one Dave Sanner, who was also responsible for Sonic Spinball, came up with the concept and was the lead programmer. Originally intended to be bundled with the Sega Nomad, which was a handheld Sega Genesis, the game was instead released near the end of the Genesis' life cycle. The game received negative reviews upon release from critics who cited choppy graphics and the increasing difficulty of the gameplay as main reasons. Were they accurate? That's what we'll be finding out today as we play the first two levels. Our main character is Dr. Daniel Kane, a scientist who works at a corporation called the Corporation. He sneaks himself into the research lab one day in the hopes of discovering evidence that crimes have been committed using a toxic gas he created. He discovers that his colleagues have been planning an Operation Omega. Talk about creative names for your doomsday plan. This plan is to simply release the toxin as a plague upon the population to hold the cure for ransom. Because evil corporation is evil. Dr. Kane is discovered by his boss, who orders his contract terminated. But instead of simply dragging his carcass out back and shooting the guy, the director decides to dispose of the good doctor by way of chemical waste. But this decision will be the director's undoing, for the doctor did not die of radiation. The radiation instead changed him into a deadly mass of toxic vengeance. And the now not-so-good doctor has his sights set upon his former benefactors. Now, the doctor will have his vengeance, and if possible, his human body, for he is the Ooze! Okay, I've got to get this out of the way. This opening screen is awesome. It has this cool slime effect that quickly spreads and shifts across the screen to form various words. It's a cool little effect that caught my eye when I first booted the game up. And the music is definitely going for that cheesy late 80s, early 90s horror vibe. Although I have to wonder what would happen if I replaced it with something else. So much better! Toxic Dump, Part 1. Okay, let's do it. So, this is the game screen. The first thing I noticed when I originally played it was the lack of a heads-up display. No life bar, no life count, nothing. That's because all the information you need is in the character you're playing as. See, the game kind of plays like an updated version of Snake. You know, that old game where you play as that long string of dots that tries to eat other dots to get bigger? Yeah. Your main form of attack, appropriately enough, is to absorb your enemies. And you can do this by holding down the A button to stretch out a long, maneuverable tendril of slime to hit your enemy until they melt away into a pile of goo, which can then be added to your mass. Because that's not messed up or anything. Your other form of attack involves shooting small globs of slime at your opponents to the same effect, melting them and adding them to your mass. But this takes away from your overall mass, and if your mass becomes too small, you will die. Your mass also reduces from enemies hitting you. Take these slug things, for example. They will actively chase you and attempt to drink you like a Slurpee. Thankfully, these guys are easily disposed of. 2 hits, and they're your lunch. Nom! There are other creatures who would happily eat you up, but there is nothing compared to the goons of the corporation. See, the Ooze has one weakness. One very potent weakness. It's flammable. So you, unlike the Blob, can be killed. Seriously, these guys aren't screwing around here. They're armed with flamethrowers and fire cannons all over the place. And here's the kicker. If they hit you on the head, you die instantly. This game is surprisingly hard. Here you are, a biological terror, and you're the one running from everything. Everything either wants to eat you or burn you. The objective of each stage is simple enough. Get to the end. However, if you want to see the good ending, you need to go through each stage and track down the DNA items. These will allow Dr. Kane to return to his human form. Each stage has 2, and the amount left to track down are shown at the beginning of every stage. And if we count here, there are 25 stages complete with a total of 50 DNA items to track down. Gotta be honest, I hate it when games do this whole collect set number of a collectible to the true ending. I don't like it in Sonic with the Chaos Emeralds, and I don't like it here. It feels like an artificial way of extending playtime. The second stage introduces one more hazard to the mix. Broken stage edges. That's right, if you bump into the edge of a stage and it just happens to have no barrier, then some of your mass slips off the edge and is eaten by the stage itself. The stage does have a solution to this problem though. See those red glowing things? What you gotta do is stretch yourself over to it, and the rest of the ooze will glide along with it. This whole stage, and quite frankly the entire game, is a maze. You've gotta navigate through here, finding the switches to unlock the rest of the maze, and hope you track down all the DNA items at the same time. Stuff is ambushing you every few seconds, and you've gotta maneuver around the environmental hazards as well. You are going to die in this game. A lot. Over, and over, and over. You'd think, being a giant blob monster, that your job of eating everything would be relatively easy. And it would be if you weren't flammable and edible! Sheesh! Okay, to be fair, it would be far too easy if they made you completely invincible. But filling a narrow maze with multiple enemies while adding multiple drop-offs that shrink your match and therefore your health, also you can be one-shot killed by a goon with a flamethrower, that's a little harsh, don't you think? Speaking of mazes, this one on level 2 is huge. How am I supposed to get out where everything is? Years of playing Metroid have got me somewhat good at mental mapping, but what about other less fortunate souls? Still, with perseverance you can find the end of the stage, And for all my griping, the game is pretty fun. Doesn't stop me from sucking, though.
Now you will suffer forever in my lava lamp. Ha 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 ha.
So, in the end, I can see why the reviews of the Ooze were negative. It's a very hard game, but there's something there for people who want it. So I can see where the reviews are coming from. This is a very, very difficult game, but it's also very unique, and I gotta give it credit for that. It's also very fun, provided you get into it with the right mindset of it not being a perfect game. It has flaws, but it's still very fun to play as this sentient pile of ooze. The game also has a very dedicated fan base of people who played it, and they all have nothing but praise to hand to this game. It is a hard game, but if you can muscle through it, like I feel like doing after having played these first two stages, there's something here for people who enjoy it. But I still suck, just in case you were wondering. So, if you're looking for a unique game to play on the Sega Genesis, then this could fill your needs. Of course, there are plenty of other games for Sega Technical Institute to check out. I myself am a big fan of Sonic Spinball, but that'll wait till another episode. For now, it's time for me to sign off, and I gotta find something to do with Mr. Jello Smear here. Isn't that right, Mr. Jello Smear? Oh. Balls. Where'd he go? Mr. Jello Smear. Where are... Ah!
Subscribe, beauty mortals.
Don't forget to share the video if you liked it. Or hit the like button. Or dislike it. I don't care. Like it or not, I'll see you in the next video. Bye! Crud, where'd I put the bottle? Hi! Help me, I can't find the flarp bottle.
Are you okay?
No, that was the end of the flarp video. Or the
You
ooze.
sounded like Link.
I sounded like Link screaming at
I
something.
can hear you all the way over by the table.
Yeah, that was on purpose.
Like from through the control room wall.
Yeah, that was on purpose.